Hey guys, it's time to check the viewer mailbag. This video goes out to my friend Kevin and the rest of my friends out in the Bahamas. Kevin, you had several questions, so I'm going to try to answer them one at a time. So Kevin's first question was, how long can you store food? That depends. If I'm storing a shelf-stable food like beans, white rice, lentils, or other beans and legumes, I would expect to get at least 20 years of storage out of something like that. However, keep in mind that the longer you store something, the more nutritional value you can lose, and the taste will also deteriorate some over time as well. Certain things like pasta, brown rice, and oil just really don't store well, and you can probably get no more than a couple of years of storage max from what I've been reading. And those type of items you really want to use on a rotational basis, where you eat your oldest food first and you keep restocking your supply as you use it up. Keep in mind that if you do want to store something like rolled oats or rice in food grade buckets, you should plan on buying some 5-gallon Mylar bags to line the inside of those buckets. Because certain types of food can spoil over time when they're in the presence of oxygen, and if you don't line those buckets with the Mylar bags, oxygen can gradually seep through the plastic and penetrate your bucket and make your food spoil faster. So check out the link in the description box below for more information about that. Also remember, as always, that throwing in some oxygen absorbers is going to take any oxygen that's left in those Mylar pouches, and the bucket is going to give you a handy strong shell to protect those fragile Mylar bags inside there. Kevin's second question was, how big is my food storage? To be honest, I'm not exactly sure how much we have stored. Our storage is pretty spread out between our house and another location right now because we're very limited on storage space, so it's hard to know exactly how much we have. We do have a nice size supply, but it's not a Noah's Ark sized cache of food by any means. I do believe that every family should have at least a year's supply of food, not including the food that you plan on harvesting from your garden. The reason for that is because none of us can guarantee that our garden will not have a crop failure or that looters will steal or destroy your crop when times get tough. Bottom line is that if your garden fails for whatever reason or gets trashed by the weather, you can fall back on that food storage until you can figure out something better. By canning, dehydrating, and storing bulk foods, you could provide your family with cheap food insurance. Let me ask you, how great would it be to lose your job and not have to worry about whether your family would eat for the next year? How great would it be to have that assurance that even if some things really went wrong for you and your family, that you would still at least eat? You can provide yourself with food independence by having food stored and by choosing to plant a large garden every year and canning and dehydrating the produce out of that. Store what you eat what you store, as the old saying goes. Kevin also wanted to know the size of a garden to grow relative to your family size. How big do I have to have my garden in order to provide food for my family? Is another way of putting it. I don't want to hedge here, but there's really no exact answer to this. A lot of different people out there online have tried to provide a rough answer to this, and I will put a link in the description box if you'd like to check out one of those places. But the answer to this question is that it really depends on your family's eating habits and lifestyle choices. I can tell you that our garden is about 4,000 square feet, just under a tenth of an acre. And I can also tell you that my wife stays very, very busy canning and dehydrating. What you should know is that if you want to survive only on food out of your garden, it's going to have to be a massive garden. And again, you can see the estimate for that in the description text below. To me, this is really not practical. I suggest that you have a fairly large garden and you want to be canning and dehydrating quite a bit from the excess produce that your garden is going to give you. But I also recommend buying some inexpensive bulk foods such as rice and beans, maybe some lentils to supplement your garden, at least at first. If you can more than your family consumes each year, gradually you'll build up your canning stockpile. But in the meantime, you will have your bulk food storage to fall back on while you add to your canning stockpile. I do not recommend growing your own wheat or other crops unless you're a farmer and can just go get some wheat out of your grain bin. For the average person, growing a crop like wheat will be way too labor intensive and cost you way too much time and money. For example, how would you plan to harvest a 1-acre patch? Do you have a combine, or does your neighbor have a combine that he would allow you to use? Do you really want to hand cut and hand thresh it? To me, certain things are better off bought than grown. One more quick thing about storing food from your garden. It would be a great idea to start thinking about how you're going to can and or dehydrate your food when Christians are cut off the grid. See Revelation 13:17 for more on that. I would highly suggest getting a wood stove and learning how you can can with that. Canning with propane is another option, but keep in mind, once that propane's gone, it's gone. When we can't buy or sell, that includes propane and a lot of this other stuff too. So just something for you guys to think about and start planning ahead for. Kevin, you also wanted to know how much land to look for in a country homestead and how to go about getting established. The best answer that I can give you for that is to download the PDF in the description box below. This PDF is by Nick Meisner of End Time Preparedness, and Nick has done a really awesome job compiling a helpful list of things to look for in a country property, including a lot of the questions that you're going to want to ask the real estate agent. I highly recommend that you guys read that free resource. Again, that's in the description text below. Finally, Kevin wanted to know what size home are we in, and also wanted to know the size of an ideal storage area, I think was what you were getting at there, Kevin. Our current home is 504 square feet, and yeah, it's tiny. It's pretty tight. It's beyond cozy. A small home can work for a year or two while you get yourself established on your country property, but please realize that, in my opinion, this is really not a good long-term solution. If you want to live an off-grid independent lifestyle, you're just going to need some space to store things and to be able to work around the house. It's just the way it is. You're going to have lots of jars all over the place, full and empty. And if you want to store any kind of buckets or garden seeds, other supplies, you're just going to need some space to work with. You don't have to go crazy, but you will need, a fairly sizable area. I had to chuckle a little bit when Kevin asked about how large our storage area is, because let me tell you, most of our bulk food isn't even stored at my house right now. We're storing it at a different location for the time being because we just don't have the space, as I mentioned earlier. So to answer your question, it really depends on your goals related to food storage. For example, how many people do you want to plan for? Your family of 4? Or do you maybe want to be in a position to help your neighbors or other family members? Determining your goal and your purpose for the food storage is going to help you a lot in deciding how much to store and how big your storage area needs to be. Thanks, Kevin. I hope that helped. Keep those questions coming in. And thank you guys so much for watching this video. And what did you think about this video? I look forward to hearing from you guys in the comments section below. And please also be sure to click that subscribe button. Until next time, this has been John Erickson for Christian Country Living, reminding you to pray, plan, and prepare. We'll see you next time.